An Austin religious leader's funeral will be held tomorrow after he was hit and killed by a vehicle while walking in North Austin last weekend.
And that accident happened on North Lamar, just north of Yeager Lane, and it's raising some questions about pedestrian safety in the area. There are a few sidewalks and some areas only offer man-made paths.
Now, we've discussed this issue in the past and even reported on plans to add sidewalks down this busy corridor. Our Nabil Ramadna looked into the issue to see where that project stands.
Reflecting on a friend and mentor.
He was a community leader, he was a teacher, he was a mentor.
Imam Anwar Imam now is helping to plan the funeral for Imam Islam Masad.
For a lot of the young people here in Austin, he was their first Islamic studies teacher. For a lot of the adults, he was the person that they would go to for issues of Islamic questions, marriage, divorce, advice, guidance.
50-year-old Masad was walking along North Lamar Boulevard when he was hit by a car Sunday evening. Imam says he would frequently pray and then go for walks along North Lamar.
This is not the first time that he's walked that stretch of Lamar. And the first couple of times we heard that he was doing that, this concern was brought up. This tragic incident highlights that concern even further.
Now, as you can see, this is a busy stretch of road. A lot of people driving through the area, but there are also neighborhoods to my right, businesses and schools to my left, and many of the people, they're walking down these makeshift pathways. They say they want sidewalks instead.
With young kids, it's not safe.
We went to check things out and found Megan and her kids walking along a stretch with no sidewalks. Her kids go to school along the road.
It just seems like the cars are going very fast in this area. I believe we need crosswalks and sidewalks, definitely.
Most of the areas we spotted have makeshift paths, and some of the areas near bridges are extra dangerous. Check out this stretch over a creek. In 2024, we reported on improvements coming to the dangerous stretch. Since then, there have been some made, but many areas still need work. The city tells us Capital Delivery Services is partnering with the Transportation and Public Works Department on road improvements along North Lamar through the Corridor program. We also checked their sidewalk program projects map, which shows North Lamar highlighted from Runberg Lane to West Palmer Lane. The green symbolizing projects that are active or set to start in the next 30 days. Megan says improvements can't come soon enough.
And we do have to walk every morning and every afternoon to our vehicles this way.
Nabil Ramadna, KXAN News.
And all community members are welcome to attend Mossad's funeral tomorrow. We have the details in this story over at KXAN.com. For some added context, the Austin Transportation and Public Works Department shows around 1,500 miles of sidewalks are missing. In May of 2024, the Austin Mobility Committee said 20% of properties in Austin are connected by sidewalks to groceries or other food sources. 51% are connected by sidewalks to schools.
Average rate in taxpayers' bill by roughly $218 a year. But some city council members have indicated they support going higher, which could add a couple $100 more to that bill, and thanks to state law, trigger an election. In that camp is Austin City Council member Zoe Caudry, who was on Inside Austin's agenda with me this week. Talk about how you're weighing affordability for people who have to pay these property taxes versus the services that the city needs to provide.
I think affordability and making sure people can afford to live in the city is extremely important, but also making sure that those basic necessary functions of what a city government or any government is doing is at the forefront.
Meanwhile, Councilmember Mark Duchin is weighing affordability and services the other direction.
It makes those that can't afford to stay here or struggling to afford to stay here less likely to be able to afford going forward once you slap another $200 or $300 of taxes on top of what they're already paying, on top of the base tax that we're about to do.
Grace Reader, KXAN News.
And the City Council will vote on the budget and approve an official tax rate in a couple of weeks. If the rate triggers a tax rate election, that would happen in November. But the budget goes into effect October 1st. So if Austinites vote no on the rate increase, what happens then? Well, city staff are working on possible solutions, including having some fallback direction from the City Council. Now, taking a closer look, right now cities and counties in Texas can only raise property taxes by 3.5% without an election. That's per a state law that went into effect in 2019. Before that, cities and counties could raise taxes by 8% without an election.
Tonight is the deadline President Donald Trump imposed for other countries to reach trade agreements with the U.S.
The White House already sent out details about what will start being imposed on imports starting tomorrow. And the effects of these tariffs have some companies here in Central Texas pivoting how they operate. KXAN's Kevin Bosker joins us now, and you've been following a company locally that's trying to shift when they pay taxes by becoming what's called a foreign trade zone.
Right, so Flex, formerly known as Flextronics, is a global manufacturing services company. They manufacture a wide range of goods for several companies, such as a soundbar for your TV to precision molds for medical devices such as an inhaler. Flex has 2 locations in Central Texas, one in Austin, one in Round Rock. The Round Rock location wants a designation as a foreign trade zone, or FTZ. Now you're probably wondering what exactly is a foreign trade zone. FTZ is a designated area where goods are not subject to any tariffs or custom duties. So until the good physically leaves the zone following some kind of manufacturing, no tariff needs to be paid by the company. And at times, this means the company does not need to pay a duty rate on the finished product, something Williamson County's Economic Development Partnership Director Dave Porter put in perspective.
If you're ordering $10 million of inventory and there's going to be a 40% tariff on it, you don't want to pay that all up front when it comes into the port. And so it can come straight into the foreign trade zone and sit there until you take that one product out. You don't have to pay it on all the product, just that one piece that you're using right now. And it helps with the cash flow and helps defer some payments on tariffs and duties.
So Kevin, what exactly does it take for a site to gain that FTZ designation?
Yeah, to gain that designation, Porter said the company needs to have it approved by the school district, the city, and the county. Now, just this past Tuesday, Flex met the criteria for all 3 of those requirements, as the Williamson County Commissioners voted 3-1 in favor of writing a letter supporting Flex's Round Rock location becoming an FTZ. Now, Flex has not been approved by federal regulators to gain the status just yet.
And are there other companies in Central Texas that are foreign trade zones?
Yeah, there are, as a matter of fact. One of them, to be specific, Flex's Austin location is already a FTZ, and there are 4 other companies that have the designation as well: Roar, Warm Audio, HID Global, and Samsung. And I go so much more in depth online at KXAN.com.
All right, Kevin Bosker, thank you so much. First responders and volunteers have spent almost a month providing assistance to flash flood victims across Central Texas. But who takes care of them? Lone Star IV Medics, a mobile IV hydration company, spent nearly 2 weeks stationed in the Hill Country doing just that. The president of the company, who has a background in nursing, says Lone Star IV has a full medical team that screens each patient before any of its paramedics or nurses treat them.
They are out there for hours just pushing harder and harder to help and find the victims that were out there. Because of the heat and the humidity and all the water that was there, dehydration sets in pretty quickly. So we were able to help before they needed to get pulled off the site.
And she also says they coordinated with local organizations that were leading the recovery efforts to know where they could best help. They treated more than 250 people during those 2 weeks.
The view from the tallest building in Texas is unlike any other. At 74 stories up, the downtown Austin high-rise tops out at more than 1,000 feet. Now, before it's officially open, KXAN's Tom Miller went on a tour to learn what's next for the Waterline Tower.
What unique challenges do you face when you're designing and engineering a building as tall as this?
Yeah, so obviously you've got codes that you've got to pay attention to, a lot of design with our architectural group. And then when you've got over 800 people at any given time on site, you've got to coordinate all of those workers to make sure they're coordinated in the right way.
And what is the vision for how this building is going to be used once it is open, and when will that happen?
Yeah, so we plan to be fully open, all 3 uses, probably early fall of 2026. We'll have a 1 hotel that'll have about 250 keys. We'll have 352 multifamily apartments for rent at the top. And then we'll have 700,000 square feet of Class A office on levels 14 through 39. All of those are completely separate.
It's the tallest building in Texas, and it does feel like Austin keeps getting taller. Why is that, and is that the trend we're going in?
Yeah, I think Austin has been very thoughtful on how they approach density and where they want it. And so because of that, we're taking, the city wants to make downtown dense, and so we have embraced that.
Austin has a couple buildings with some clever nicknames. There's the Jenga Tower, there's the Sail Tower. Does this building have a nickname yet?
Yeah, I mean, we're Waterline. And so we're going to stick with that. I think it's pretty appropriate for what we're building and what we're doing.
Andy Smith with the Lincoln Property Company, thanks for talking with me.
Thank you very much.
And that's our Tom Miller there in the hard hat. Thanks so much for that, Tom. In addition to the 1,025-foot tower, there's also a 250-foot crane on top. Whenever it must move, the construction team needs to actually clear it with the Federal Aviation Administration to make sure it doesn't get in the way of the flight path of planes.